AITA for being blindsided by my wife's divorce request and a stranger's courtroom reveal. My name is Owen Carlisle. I am 36 years old. I worked as a senior project manager at a construction company until 3 months ago. I was married to Sofia Ramirez for 8 years. She filed the divorce petition on a Tuesday without any conversation, without any warning, just an envelope delivered to my office by a process server who even apologized for interrupting my meeting. Inside were the divorce papers and a post-it note in Sofia's handwriting. Do not make this difficult. It was typical of her, polite when she wanted to be cruel. In the first few weeks after the filing, I tried to talk to her. I tried to understand what had happened. We had problems, of course. All marriages do. We sometimes argued about money, about her spending, about her mother's frequent visits from Miami. They were normal things, nothing that seemed like grounds for a divorce. But every call went to voicemail. Every message went unanswered. After the 5th attempt, her lawyer, Alyssa Nguyen, from a famous firm on Wacker Drive with a reputation for ruining men, sent a notice. Your client is harassing mine. All communication must go through the attorneys. So I hired my own, Gregory Stein, 52 years old, with 30 years of experience in family law, whose calm demeanor reminded me of my father. He analyzed Sofia's petition and frowned. She is alleging abuse, he said in a low tone. Emotional, financial, and verbal. My stomach sank. That is not true. I believe you, but we are going to need to prove it. The hearing began at 9:30 in the morning at the Daily Center. Alyssa Nguyen spoke first, building a narrative of a controlling husband who watched every penny, criticized every decision, and isolated her from friends and family. Then Sofia took the stand, her voice soft, dabbing her eyes with a tissue at calculated intervals. She wore a conservative navy blue dress, conveying vulnerability. She kept her hands folded in her lap when she was not using them to emphasize a point. He controlled everything, she said, her voice choked with emotion. I could not even buy groceries without him questioning every receipt. He would check my purse for proof that I had spent money without his permission. It was a lie. We had separate bank accounts. She had her own credit cards. I never once checked her purse. Still, seeing those tears made my bank statements seem empty and irrelevant. I lived in fear, she continued. Fear of saying the wrong thing. Fear that he would explode if I disagreed. I never exploded. In 8 years, I raised my voice twice. Once when she lied about returning an expensive handbag she could not afford. Another time when I discovered her mother was staying in our guest room for 3 weeks without telling me. But Alyssa Nguyen knew exactly how to twist that into something terrifying. When you say explode, can you describe what that was like? She asked. He would turn red. His hands would shake, Sofia answered. He would stand over me while I was sitting, using his size to intimidate me. Was he ever physically violent? Once, he punched the wall, right next to my head. The wall punch had happened, but it was not near her head. It was in the garage after I found out she had maxed out a credit card I did not even know existed. I apologized the same day and paid for the drywall repair. Judge Castillo kept taking notes. Her expression remained neutral, but I noticed her glance at me when she heard the story about the wall. Gregory leaned toward me. We will present our evidence next. Stay calm. But Sofia's performance was flawless. She had rehearsed every pause, every tear, every tremble of her hand. The worst part, she said, almost in a whisper, was feeling like I was disappearing, as if I did not exist, except as an extension of him. The convenient wife, the showpiece at company events. That part hurt because there was a grain of truth to it. I had been focused on work, on climbing the career ladder, on providing. I took Sofia to all the company events and always introduced her with pride. But did I really ask her what she wanted, what she needed? Maybe not enough. He made me feel worthless, Sofia concluded, as if I was lucky he had married me, as if I should be grateful he put up with me. I had never said anything like that, or even thought it. But the way she looked at Judge Castillo, with direct eye contact, her chin trembling just slightly, made it all seem true. Alyssa Nguyen sat down with a satisfied expression. No further questions, Your Honor. Judge Castillo looked back at Gregory. Mr. Stein. Gregory stood up. He had a thick folder in his hands, full of bank statements, text message transcripts, and testimonies from friends. Your Honor, I would like to present evidence that directly contradicts. It was at that moment that the courtroom doors swung open. The man walked in. He must have been in his 60s. His clothes looked like they had not been washed in weeks. Dirty jeans, a coat stained with things I would rather not identify, a gray beard that had not been trimmed in months. But his eyes were clear, alert, and focused. The bailiff, Andre Johnson, according to his nameplate, a guy who looked like he could lift a car, intercepted him immediately. "Sir, this is a closed hearing. You cannot." "Your Honor," the man said, not looking at Andre, keeping his eyes on the judge. "Can I show you something he does not know?" I had never seen this man before in my life. Sophia's face went white. Judge Castillo put her pen down on the table. "Who are you?" "My name is Terrence Foster," he replied. "I am a volunteer at the 5th Street shelter. I serve meals. Help out where I can." He pulled a cell phone from his pocket. The cracked screen was held together with tape. The battery probably dated back to 2015. 3 weeks ago, I recorded something. Something the court needs to see. Alyssa Nguyen jumped to her feet. "Your Honor, this is highly irregular. We do not know who this man is, or—" "Sit down, counselor." Judge Castillo cut her off sharply. Her eyes never left Terrence. "Mr. Foster, what exactly did you record?" Terrence took 3 steps forward. Bailiff Johnson tensed, but did not stop him. "I record things sometimes," Terrence said, "when I see something that does not feel right. I learned that living on the streets, to trust your gut. 3 weeks ago, that woman came to the shelter." He pointed at Sophia. Her mouth fell slightly open. No sound came out. "She was not there to help," Terrence continued. "She was there to meet someone. I watched from a corner. Something about the way she looked around, nervous, secretive, made me take out my phone." Judge Castillo gestured to Bailiff Johnson. "Show me." Terrence handed over the phone. Andre connected the device to the courtroom's display system with an adapter from the judge's equipment. The screen flickered, and then a shaky recording appeared. It was night, a parking lot, sodium lights casting an orange glow on everything. A car was parked in the back, Sophia's silver Lexus, the same one I had helped her pick out 2 years ago. In the corner of the screen, the time was displayed in red, 11:47 p.m., March 15th, a date I remembered well. Sophia had said she was visiting her sister in Evanston. She said she would be late. I had fallen asleep on the couch waiting for her. A man appeared in the video, crossing the parking lot. He was not homeless. He was well-dressed, in an expensive coat, with confident strides. He opened the passenger door of Sophia's car and got in. They kissed immediately. Urgent, hungry. My chest tightened. Then Sophia's voice echoed through the courtroom speakers, clear, cold, nothing like the soft, broken tone she had used in her testimony. "He still does not suspect a thing. My God, men are such idiots when they trust you." The man laughed. "And the timeline? I will file the petition next month. April at the latest. I am documenting everything, keeping a journal of the abuse. My therapist is on board. She will testify that I have been describing controlling behavior for months." "Smart." "I know." Sophia's voice sounded smug, satisfied. "I will cry during my testimony. Say I was terrified. Judges always believe the woman, especially if she is pretty. I will get the house, half his retirement, probably alimony. He is too nice to really fight back." The man's hand slid up her thigh. "And the protective order?" "Easy. I will say he threatened me, that I am scared for my safety. That freezes his assets and makes him look dangerous. Public opinion is everything in these cases." The courtroom was completely silent. Even the court reporter had stopped typing. I sat frozen, watching my wife plan my destruction with the same casual tone she used to talk about dinner. And the best part, Sophia continued in the video, is that his lawyer will advise him to settle. They always do. He will be so afraid of losing in court that he will give me everything just to make it go away. I will walk away with at least $400,000, probably more. The man kissed her neck. "You are cruel." "I love that. I am practical," she corrected herself in the video. "And I am tired of being married to a boring project manager who thinks a nice dinner is at the Olive Garden. I want more. I deserve more. When can we go public?" "After the divorce is final. I will tell everyone he was abusive and controlling, that I barely escaped with my life. I will be the brave survivor, and you will be my supportive new partner, the one who helped me heal. No one will ever know we have been together for 2 years. We had been married for 8 years. The video ended. The screen went black. No one moved. Judge Castillo's face went from neutral to stone. She looked at Sophia, who had gone from white to gray, then at Alyssa Nguyen, who looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. Your Honor, Alyssa began. Is this a public parking lot? The judge asked, looking at Terrence. Yes, ma'am. At the 5th Street shelter. No gates, no expectation of privacy. I checked with a lawyer before I came. It is legal. Judge Castillo turned back to Sophia. Mrs. Ramirez, do you wish to revise your testimony? Sophia's mouth opened, then closed. Her eyes darted toward the exit. She looked at me for the first time since the video started. There was no remorse, no shame, only pure, concentrated rage, as if I had set this all up, as if I had betrayed her. I need a recess. Alyssa Nguyen said quickly, getting up. My client needs time to. Denied, the judge replied curtly. She closed her notebook with a firm snap. This hearing is concluded. She looked directly at Sophia. I am dismissing your petition with prejudice. Your allegations of abuse are clearly fraudulent. Your documented plan to commit perjury and defraud Mr. Carlisle has been submitted as evidence. If Mr. Carlisle wishes to file counterpetitions, and I strongly recommend he does, this court will fully support those proceedings. Alyssa Nguyen's face paled. Your Honor, my client. Your client has just committed multiple felonies in this courtroom. Counselor, the judge cut in. I suggest you advise her to seek criminal counsel. The judge then looked at Gregory. Mr. Stein, I expect the counterpetition within a week. Perjury, fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and anything else you can document. Gregory stood up. Yes, Your Honor. Sophia exploded. She shot to her feet, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. You set this up, she screamed at me. You paid him. You. Bailiff Johnson moved quickly. Ma'am, sit down. This is absurd. Sophia's voice was no longer soft or vulnerable. This was the real Sophia, the one I had seen maybe 3 times in 8 years, always quickly hidden away. He is manipulating all of you. That video is fake. Mrs. Ramirez, Judge Castillo said, her voice cutting like a blade. Sit down. Sophia sat, but her hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from fury. The judge stood up. Hearing adjourned. Mr. Stein, my clerk will be in contact about the next steps. Ms. Nguyen, I recommend you withdraw from this case immediately. She exited through the door to her chambers. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. The court reporter began packing up her equipment. Alyssa Nguyen grabbed her briefcase and left without even looking at Sophia, abandoning her client like a sinking ship. Sophia turned to me, her face contorted with hatred. You are going to pay for this, she whispered. You think this is over? You think? Mrs. Ramirez, Gregory said calmly. I would strongly advise you to stop talking now. Anything you say can be used against you in criminal proceedings. She glared at him, then at me, then at Terrence, who was standing near the door, his phone already back in his pocket. She stood up, walked past me, paused, and leaned in close enough for me to smell her perfume. Chanel No. 5, the expensive one, the one she said she needed. I almost had it all, she whispered. And you are still too dumb to understand why I did it. Then she was gone. Bailiff Johnson watched her go. Gregory turned to him. Did you record those threats? Andre nodded. Yes, I documented everything. Terrence approached slowly, his eyes tired, like someone who had seen too much. You did not know about the affair, did you? He asked. No, I shook my head. They usually do not, he nodded. People like that are good at hiding things. Why did you record it? I asked. Because I have been on the streets for 6 years, Terrence replied. And in that time, I learned to recognize the kind of people who hurt others. The way she looked at that parking lot, as if she owned the world and the rest of us were just scenery. I have seen that look before. He pulled his coat tighter around himself. On people who hit their partners, who steal from shelters, who see other people as tools. I recorded it because I thought she might hurt someone. Turns out, I was right. Thank you, I said, my voice failing. I do not know how. No need to thank me. Terrence gave a smile that was missing 2 teeth, but was utterly sincere. Just remember that sometimes the people who seem to have nothing are paying a lot more attention than the ones who think they have everything. And he walked toward the door. Wait, I called out. Can I help you in some way? Money, a place to stay, anything. Terrence stopped and turned. I do not need money, he said. But the shelter does. The 5th Street shelter. They helped me when I had nothing. Maybe you could help them. He left before I could reply. Gregory calmly closed his briefcase. That was the craziest thing I have seen in 30 years of family law. Is it over? I asked. The divorce, yes. Her petition was dismissed with prejudice. She cannot file it again. But criminally, he looked at me seriously. Owen, she committed perjury, conspiracy to commit fraud, and maybe even extortion, depending on how we frame it. If you want to pursue it. I do. I answered without hesitation. I want to press charges. He nodded. I will contact the district attorney's office. Probably Assistant District Attorney Erin Park. She handles fraud cases, 16 years in the field. This is right up her alley. What will happen to Sophia? If convicted, she could face anything from probation to 3 years in prison, fines, and a permanent criminal record. He paused. And her lawyer will be reported to the Illinois State Bar for attempting to perpetrate a fraud upon the court. That video makes Alyssa Nguyen look complicit, even though she probably did not know. She is going to want to distance herself from this as quickly as possible. I sat back down in the empty courtroom. My hands started to shake, the shock setting in after the adrenaline. She was going to take everything from me. I said quietly. The house, my retirement. She was going to paint me as an abuser, and I had no idea. Men rarely do, Gregory said, echoing Terrence's words. Especially good men. You operate on the assumption that everyone is playing by the same moral code. I feel like an idiot. No, you feel betrayed. There is a difference. We sat in silence for a minute. The guy in the video, I said. Her lover. Can we find out who he is? Already on it. I am hiring a private investigator, Riley Morgan, a former Chicago Police Department detective with 25 years of experience. He will identify the subject, document the timeline of the affair, and testify if needed. What for? For a civil suit. You can sue them both. We will file for dissipation of marital assets to recover any money she spent on him, and for intentional infliction of emotional distress. With that video, we have a very strong case. I thought of Sophia's smug voice on the video. I deserve more. Do it, I said. Everything. The criminal case, the civil suit. Everything. Gregory smiled. Now you are thinking clearly. The next week was a blur. Assistant District Attorney Erin Park called me personally. Her voice was professional, her questions direct and no nonsense. Mr. Carlisle, I have reviewed the evidence. I am filing criminal charges against Sophia Ramirez for perjury, fraud, and conspiracy to commit fraud. We will need your testimony and cooperation. You will have it. Excellent. We will schedule a deposition. In the meantime, do not have any contact with her whatsoever. No texts, no calls, nothing. Understood. Understood. Riley Morgan identified Sophia's lover in less than 48 hours. His name was Luis Herrera, 39, divorced, a pharmaceutical sales representative with a good salary and a flashy lifestyle. He and Sophia had been meeting at hotels all over Chicago for nearly 2 years. Riley had credit card receipts showing marital funds were used, security camera footage from the hotels, and text messages exchanged between them dating back to June of 2022. She was careful, Riley said over coffee with me at a cafe in Lincoln Park. But not careful enough. They always used the same 3 hotels, sometimes paid in cash, but security cameras do not lie. I have got footage of them checking into the Conrad together on 5 separate occasions. That is enough for the civil suit. More than enough. We have her own voice on tape saying they have been together for 2 years, and proof that our joint money was spent on the affair. It is a slam dunk. What could he lose? Riley smiled. Mostly money. Lawsuits like this can result in high damages. But more importantly, his reputation. His employer will not like this getting out, and neither will his ex-wife, who will probably file for a custody review. Bad press has a way of destroying people. I thought about it. I thought about Luis Herrera kissing my wife in a parking lot while they planned to ruin my life. File the suit, I said. The criminal case proceeded to an arraignment 3 weeks later. I sat in the gallery as Sophia stood before Judge Pembroke, 62, a criminal magistrate for 19 years, known for being fair but tough. She wore an orange jumpsuit, her hair pulled back carelessly, no makeup. She looked small. Mrs. Ramirez, Judge Pembroke read, you are being charged with 3 counts of perjury, 2 counts of fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit fraud. How do you plead? Her public defender, overworked and looking exhausted, whispered something in her ear. Not guilty, Sophia said, but her voice broke. Bail is set at $50,000. The trial date is set for July 22nd. Next, the bailiff led her away. She looked at me only once as she passed. This time, there was no anger, only emptiness. Her mother called me that night, screaming and crying. How could I do this to her daughter? How could I destroy her life over a misunderstanding? I hung up without answering. 2 days later, the civil suit against Luis Herrera was served. He was served at his office, in front of his colleagues. According to Riley Morgan, who was watching the building, Luis's face turned purple when he read the petition. That night, he called me from a blocked number. "You vengeful monster," he spat as soon as I answered. "You are going to pay for this." I put the call on speakerphone so Gregory Stein, who was at my apartment reviewing documents, could hear. "Mr. Herrera," Gregory said calmly. "This is Owen's attorney. You are on speakerphone, and this call is being recorded. Please, continue making threats so we can add harassment to the civil suit." The line went dead. Gregory smiled. These guys always think they are smarter than everyone else. The trial took place at the end of July. It was a heat wave. Chicago was sweltering. The criminal courthouse felt like an oven. Erin Park prosecuted the case herself. She started by playing the full video Terrence Foster had recorded for the jury. Then she presented the bank statements proving Sophia had separate accounts and complete freedom to spend. She called 3 of my work colleagues who testified that I never exhibited controlling or abusive behavior. Sophia's public defender did his best. He argued the video was taken out of context, that Sophia was just venting in what she thought was a private moment, that she never had any real intention of lying under oath. Then, Erin called Sophia's therapist to the stand. Dr. Melissa Campos, licensed clinical psychologist, 12 years of practice. "Did Mrs. Ramirez discuss her marriage with you?" Erin asked. "Yes." "When?" 6 months before she filed for divorce. She said she needed documentation of abuse for legal purposes. Documentation of abuse, not treatment for abuse. Correct. She specifically asked me to write clinical notes describing patterns of control and emotional manipulation. When I explained that I could only record what I observed or what was honestly relayed, she became irritated. She said I was not being helpful. "Did you write those notes?" "No. I terminated our professional relationship." What she was asking for was unethical and illegal. The jury's expression shifted. This was not a woman fleeing abuse. This was someone looking for a willing accomplice. The verdict came back in 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Sophia cried as the verdict was read. Her mother, sitting in the front row, screamed as if someone had died. 2 weeks later, Judge Pembroke delivered the sentence. "Mrs. Ramirez," he said, looking down at her from the bench with cold disdain, "you attempted to turn the judicial system into a weapon against an innocent man. You planned to commit perjury, destroy his reputation, and steal his assets through fraud." He paused. "The only reason you failed is because a man with a cheap cell phone showed more integrity than you have ever displayed. I sentence you to 2 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections, followed by 3 years of probation. You will also pay restitution to Mr. Carlisle for his legal fees and court costs. Furthermore, I am recommending this case be reported to the Illinois State Bar. Your actions have consequences. Perhaps now you will learn that." The bailiff led her away. She did not look at me. The civil suit against Luis Herrera was settled out of court. His lawyer, expensive and visibly nervous, offered $175,000 to make it all go away quietly. Gregory advised me to take it. We could win more at trial, but this is guaranteed money and avoids more stress. I agreed. 2 weeks later, Luis lost his job. The pharmaceutical company saw the media coverage and decided he was a reputational risk. His ex-wife filed a petition to review their custody agreement, citing a lack of moral fitness. He, too, was paying for the choices he made. 6 months after Terrence Foster walked into that courtroom, I was sitting on the back patio of my house. The house was now mine, free and clear after the divorce was finalized. I held a coffee cup, watching the sunrise. My phone buzzed. It was a Facebook message from a profile with no picture. "This is Terrence Foster. The shelter asked me to thank you for the donation. $50,000 is the largest single amount we have ever received. You did not have to do that." I smiled. I had actually donated the full $175,000 from the settlement with Luis Herrera. I split it between the 5th Street Shelter and 3 other organizations that serve the city's homeless population. I replied, "You saved my life." It was the least I could do. The response came quickly. You are a good man, Owen. Your wife said you were boring, but boring men do not blow up their own lives for revenge. Boring men do not donate huge sums of money to strangers. Maybe being boring is not so bad after all. I laughed and put my phone down. Sophia served 16 months before being released on good behavior. I heard through mutual friends that she had moved to Ohio, working in retail and living with her mother. The felony record made any professional employment virtually impossible. Luis Herrera moved to Arizona and started over in a different industry. I never thought about him again, but I thought a lot about Terrence, about how sometimes the people who seem to have nothing are the ones who are watching the most, about how a man the world treated as invisible saw everything more clearly than anyone in that courtroom. A year after the trial, I received a handwritten letter. The return address was the 5th Street shelter. Mr. Carlisle, it is with a heavy heart that we inform you Terrence Foster passed away last week from pneumonia. He died in a hospital bed with clean sheets and nurses who cared about him, which is more than many of us get. He asked us to tell you something. He said that video was not the first time he had seen your wife at the shelter. She had shown up 6 months earlier during the Christmas dinner. She complained loudly about the smell. She said people experiencing homelessness did not deserve nice things and left early after taking a few pictures for social media. Terrence said he recognized evil when he saw it. Not the dramatic kind, but the casual evil. The kind that looks pretty on the outside but hurts people without a second thought. He said saving you was not heroism. It was just one human being helping another. He believed the Lord would understand that. The team at the 5th Street shelter. I read that letter 3 times. Then I put it in a frame and hung it in my office, right next to my desk. Because Terrence Foster taught me something more valuable than any master of business administration or professional success ever could. That truth does not need a defense. It just needs a witness, especially one nobody expects to see. Comment. I believe the toughest moments in life don't just test us. They reveal the strength we never knew we had. It's a powerful reminder never to let anyone else's actions diminish your sense of self-worth. Protecting your peace often begins with setting clear boundaries, an act of profound self-respect. Sometimes, the greatest kindness comes from the most unexpected people, showing us that decency exists everywhere. True healing isn't found in payback, but in taking back your own story and choosing a path forward. Ultimately, we are each responsible for the integrity with which we choose to live. Letting go doesn't mean you forget what happened. It means you refuse to let it control your future. You have the incredible capacity to rebuild, find stability, and create a life that is truly your own. I hope you always remember to choose your own peace over the noise of conflict. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.